Hey guys, Huzzy bringing you another video, and welcome to patch 13.7. And I'm going to be completely honest, you were close of not getting this video. I was about to go to bed, and just before turning off my PC, I went on LOL Reddit, and there it was, patch 13.7 notes. And it kind of hit me like a truck, because I was very much looking forward to getting to bed. But because I'm committed, I'm not going to bed. I'm going to record this, and you know, the more big thing, it's a big patch. But we'll get into it, we'll break it down. But if you appreciate that instead of going to bed while I'm ill, I'm staying up, I'm making it, I'm going to render it, upload it, make the thumbnail. So it's probably going to delay me by at least an hour to go to bed. At least. Probably even more. On go to bed. But anyway, let's get into it. So, this week's patch, we have a few goals. First, we're taking a pass at fighters who have found themselves unsupported by current item options. So basically, fighters, a lot of them, if you notice, have become one-shot monsters again, like Aatrox, Hecarim, etc. That they're not fulfilling their role of being a fighter; they're fulfilling a role of basically becoming an assassin. So hopefully, we'll see a tone down in their damage, and then they're actually doing what they're supposed to. But then second, we're amping up fighter items. So, in essence, hopefully getting rid of their synergy with Duskblade Drakthar, the grudge item, and upping their kind of strength with Gordring, Stridebreaker, etc. Hilariously, I do think fighters as a whole are actually not that weak at the moment, so this could end bad for balance, but we'll see. The Blue Essence Emporium, by the way, is also on this patch, but let's just get into it because it's quite a big one. So we've got nerfs, finally, to Kayn. Kayn, Kha'Zix, Kindred, Naafiri, and Xerath. We've got buffs to Elise, Gnar, Lux, Orianna, Samira, Twisted Fate, Vex, and Zoe. And we have adjustments to Aatrox, Akshan, Blitzcrank, Hecarim, Quinn, Tryndamere, Vi, and Xin. We have system changes to a lot of the items that they've already named, a lot of fighter items, even lethality and AD carry items. There's a system change to catch-up experience, to dragon stuff, or patience, and futures market. And the new skins that are in this patch are called they're cosmic. Yeah, another Jhin skin. It just seems that Jhin is getting a skin every other day by this rate, but they will be available on August 20th. So technically tomorrow of me recording this, but obviously this video technically comes out the strike of midnight when it turns the 30th, so it'll be out today. Let's go into it. So Aatrox, I have heard about this, which is weird. From what I know, because some people are like, so wait, they're changing his passive damage type to magic and his W magic type to magic. That's all they're doing. Basically, they're trying to lower his... You can see right now his common build is Duskblade into Ciel'dril's Grudge. Makes him very squishy, but they are very high AD items. Potentially some of the changes that they're doing to later fight items are doing a bit of magic-y damage stuff. But yeah, switching his passive and W to magic damage means that lethality and armor penetration won't scale his damage and self-healing as much, since that healing is post-mitigation. Lowering the opportunity cost of tankier options like Gordring, Stridebreaker, or Black Cleaver should allow him to play a bit more of a part. So it's basically a hard force of stop building only pure squishy AD items, because they're not going to be doing that much for you anymore. It's a bit of a weird way of doing it, instead of just like nerfing damage numbers or healing numbers or something, or making him scale, like, I don't know, making him scale with health or something like that. It's a weird way of doing it, but I've no idea if this is going to work, and I would imagine a lot of Aatrox players are probably not too happy about this, but yeah, bit weird. Akshan. So has always been a bit of a problem champion. The problem with Akshan that I personally would say is he can feel quite weak in some instances. Like, he's basically a walking cheese pick, but he's not. He's designed for solo lanes, mid, primarily, top, secondary. He is designed to be there, but you know, a lot of the champions, let's say in mid, are designed to kill AD carries, so Akshan can a lot of the time just end up feeding like mad. But his revive, obviously, is absolutely mental. So he can literally win games by reviving at the right time. Like, reviving his allies. So they are doing a base health growth buff, a armor growth buff, and an attack damage growth nerf. This is kind of potentially what I was saying. He struggles sometimes to survive in the lane that he's in because he is ultimately going against champions that are designed to kill AD carries. But his damage is really good. So, yeah, I could see that. So overall champion durability have fallen somewhat over the past year. So yeah, they're basically admitting damage has gone high and squishy champions are getting one shot again. We've lost about half of the gains on that patch on marksman specifically. That's ridiculous. In a year, basically, they have lost half of the work that they did in the massive durability patch update. That's mental. But anyway, not all champions have been affected, but some felt this durability loss more than others. Akshan, Quinn, and Samira have changes this patch to help them remedy this. Well, Yasuo and Yone's ones earlier. So it's in essence to try and help him survive. But Riot is acknowledging that the damage in the game is still very high. So they're making him tankier, but lowering his damage a bit. So that's fair. Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank. What are they doing here? That's quite a lot, actually. So historically, Blitzcrank has always been a relatively straightforward champion, which is something both we and the players appreciate about them. We want to focus on that. To that end, we've decided to roll back the changes we made last year to help Blitz play jungle. Throughout the past year, it's proven difficult to have Blitzcrank succeed in both roles. So yeah, in essence, they're saying, well, this was basically one of the champions that Riot did when jungle was really struggling with player number. If you remember, Riot was like, right, we're giving jungle scaling to all these weird champions that shouldn't really be junglers to try and force the popularity of the role up. Even though that wasn't the problem. It wasn't that people had champions that they didn't want to play. It was just the role is so heavily pressured. And if you do bad, the game is basically a loss. That's why people didn't want to play jungle. So his base health is going up. Magic resist is going up. The attack speed, base attack speed is going down because he doesn't need it as much, as well as the attack speed ratio because he doesn't need it as much because he's not jungling. The mana barrier was 15 to 45% based on your level of maximum mana. It's now a flat back to 30%, so better for early game, lane phase, etc. The W, better mana cost, so cheaper, but doesn't give as much attack speed. Again, doesn't matter. It's just nicer to have in lane phase to get that movement speed bonus mainly. The Power Fist is giving actually more AD ratio, and it's cheaper, but then the bonus damage to non-champions, so basically jungle monsters, is gone, so that doesn't help now to try and jungle. And Static Field, the R is back to basically what it used to be, of your maximum mana is helping towards the damage of it also. The only thing I would say to this, and it's what, you know, worth a little thought. Imagine, just let me know what you think of this too. Imagine if, because of this change, a dedicated Blitzcrank player was like, oh my god, I love it, I can jungle. I'm going to now be a Blitzcrank one-trick jungler. Not anymore. They're literally removing him as a jungler. So that is something to worth think about. That is quite odd in some ways, but overall it's going to be better for the health of the champion. Elise. Passive bonus magic damage and healing on basic attacks increased. And E-stun duration. Ooh, a stun increase. Nice. So Elise, the problem with Elise, she's very good. I like Elise, but obviously she's not amazing with scaling. And a lot about the game nowadays is scaling. And where Elise's advantage definitely used to be annihilating things in the early game, and she was so good at that, let's be honest, if she's against anything meta, it's not that big of an advantage in the early game. You know, a Kha'Zix isn't that weak early. A Kayn, people kind of joke about him, how weak he is. He really isn't that weak early. Maybe it's a rating difference, but like, he truly is not that weak in the early game. And by the time you get to level 6, if she has an advantage, at least by level 6, that's kind of gone. But anyway, so the bonus magic damage on basic attacks is going up. So just a nice little bonus damage there. And then the on-hit healing on basic attacks is also going up. So better sustain. That's nice little changes. The bigger one is the E. Ooh, that's not bad. Again, not really what I think would make Elise more viable, being like give her more late game scaling. But the stun duration at max rank is going up by 0.4 of a second, from 2 seconds to 2.4. That is actually quite considerable. That is the difference of late game killing a Kayle and not. You know, that does make a difference. So that's quite nice. I like that. Gnar, Mega Gnar Q base damage increased, Mega Gnar W base. So 2 buffs for Gnar. So his both in Mega form. And I would say Gnar, I've kind of joked of like, why do people play Gnar? He seems as a pretty, obviously, if you're auto-filled or you're blind pick, Gnar is a bit of a staple to play because, oh, you can just stay in ranged form and you're kind of safe. The problem with Gnar is he's actually not that safe unless you're going to play really wimpy. Most meta top laners can annihilate a Gnar in, obviously, mini form, normal. And in Mega, he's quite slow and his damage is very lackluster. So he's not that scary. The best part about Gnar is mid to late game, getting a 4-man Mega ult or something. That's great. The problem, again, with Gnar, that I don't know if this is going to fix, is, you know, we're top lane a lot of the time is split push meta. He ain't great at that. And I don't mean he's not good at split pushing. He can split push well. It's more most of the meta top laners that are good right now could destroy him in a 1v1 later into the game. A Fiora, a Yorick, a Sion, they'll all beat him eventually, and that's why I think he struggles more. So the physical damage, however, is going up considerably at the early game. Well, it's 20 across the board, but 20 in the early game means more than 20 in late game. So that's a nice little buff there for his Mega Gnar Boulder Toss. And then the W also is going up by 20. So actually not that bad. So in one mega combo at the, you know, both having rank 1, it's 40 more damage. That is not bad. That's pretty good damage buff. So we'll see if it does anything, but I don't imagine it's going to do too much, but we'll see. Hecarim. So this champion obviously has been problematic for a very long time. I remember a few patches ago, they were like, oh, he's finally on the nerf list, let's go. And they nerfed the completely wrong thing about him. Let's see what they're doing here. So Hecarim's current builds are very squishy. He's starting to adopt Spirit Shojin, which is great, but he's still building Duskblade, Drakthar, and Manamune. First up, we're trying to lower his reliance on Manamune. If he continues to build it, it'll actually provide less damage. And if he doesn't build it, his mana issues won't be nearly as severe. By not having to build Manamune, he should be open to buy other fight items instead. And then additionally, Hecarim's best item is Spirit Shojin, which is getting buffed this patch. So we expect him to gain quite a bit of power, so we're just kind of nerfing him in other ways. Okay. So his base mana is going up. His mana growth, though, is going down. But his base mana regeneration, is going up. His mana regeneration growth is going up. So yeah, that kind of tries to get away the reliance of tier with the mana regen is the idea, I guess. The Q, they are overall just flat out making it cheaper. So it used to be 30 at all ranks. It starts at 28, which is cheaper, but it all goes all the way down to 20 at rank 5, which again is also getting rid of the reliance on the mana item Manamune. And then the W, the mana cost, once again is being buffed in having less mana, especially in late game. And then the Omnivamp was 25% Omnivamp plus 2% per 100 AD of damage dealt. It's now 20% of damage dealt. Ah, okay. So this is a nerf. So his Omnivamp healing is going down. So I would say that's a good thing because, yeah, his damage... Well, the problem with Hecarim is he could build full squishy, but because of the W and the healing and output he was doing from the damage he was doing, it was like he was tanky. So less is good. So you can see here, basically, it's still doing Omnivamp. Instead of being 25% on the Omnivamp by base, it's now 20, and he no longer has that extra plus 2% per 100 bonus AD. Because with the very squishy, crazy Hecarim build, he could easily hit 200 probably bonus AD. That's an extra 4% healing. So he was actually doing 29% Omnivamp of damage dealt Omni healing. It's still only 20% now. So that is good. I still think his damage is still going to be too high. These aren't the nerfs I really think this champion needs. But it is what it is. Kayn, crazy broken, has been again for a long time. And the way that I actually saw it on Reddit the other day of a great explanation of why Kayn feels bad. Kayn, in comparison to other junglers, feels like a training wheel jungler, yet he's more powerful than 99% of the junglers in the game. And that was like the best description I could get of it. He does everything better than most junglers. His clear is great with AoE. His ganks are easy because he can go through walls. Oh, you made a mistake. You can jump in an enemy champion. He's very forgiving, like incredibly forgiving. And he feels like a training wheel champion. And again, it's the weird nature of, you know, you can start the game with an idea of going blue Kayn or red Kayn. Yeah, it's not optimal. You could say if you're going Dark Harvest or you're going Conqueror and then you change your mind because how the game's going. Oh, I've got Conqueror here. Oh, but I'm doing amazing. I'll go blue. You can do it though. I've seen Dark Harvest red Kayns. I've seen Conqueror blue Kayns. It's not that big of a deal for Kayn. So yeah, we'll see what's the vibe here. So the W Blades Reach. Physical damage is going down across the board by only 5, but the bigger nerf is a 20% bonus AD nerf. That still isn't going to be... it's still going to be a lot, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed, the bigger issue with Kayn, a lot of it now, is his ult. In blue Kayn, with the full lethality AD build, he's practically one-shotting things by just jumping into people with ult. There's no nerf to that right now, so I would hope more nerfs come for this champion soon, but... because considering it's taken this long to get a nerf, I wouldn't hold your breath. But then the quality of life change is new me, new health, new mana bar. Kayn now restores himself to maximum health and mana upon transforming into Shadow or Darken. But it's disabled on ARAM. Okay. Kha'Zix, another very strong jungler. Probably not as strong as Kayn, but is up there. They are just nerfing his QAD ratio. Yeah, I think that's good. So they're not nerfing the base damage of it. They're not, you know, it will technically hurt his really early game, but not as much as late game. And it's not astronomical. It's a 5% AD nerf. So it's 115% bonus AD going down to 110% bonus AD. It's still going to be strong. What I think Riot is doing here, even you could say with Kayn, even with Hecarim, for some reason Riot are really liking these champions, maybe because they're exciting and Worlds is coming soon. Probably is genuinely the reason. They're trying to nerf them by slicing some of the OP off the top, but they're not trying to nerf them enough that they won't be played in Worlds. That kind of seems the vibe to me. Kindred, E slow and percent missing health damage decreased. So despite our best efforts, Kindred has maintained a relative stranglehold on high level solo queue. This time we're aiming at their gank power, which should be a win for the opponents all around. Additionally, with less free base damage in their kit, we expect Kindred to build more damage focus. So instead of going, you know, if they did still go Triforce or if they go Sterix, they can go tanky. Well, now they really have to build damage because of what they're doing here, which is E. The physical damage is going... well, the base damage is staying the same, but then it's 80% of bonus AD is staying the same. Then it's plus 8% and then 0.5% per mark of targets missing health. That's going... is that the same too? Wait, what have they changed? Ah, it's 5. Right, that's what they've changed. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's the same. Okay, there might be a typo somewhere here if I'm not... I might be going crazy. But everything here is the same. These are the same. Yep. 80% bonus AD is the same. Yep. Oh, it is. Okay, I am going crazy. So it was 8% of targets missing health. It's now 5% of targets missing health. There you go. Jesus, it took us a while to find that. And it's staying at 0.5 extra per mark. So, yeah, 3% less of targets missing health is quite considerable. That does mean Kindred needs to build a bit more damage, which is what they're trying to do. And then the slow of it also is going down. So instead of a 50% slow, it's a 30% slow. So overall, there's some good nerfs, but again, she'll still be strong. And I think that's the vibe that Riot's trying to do at the moment. Lux, not a champion you see very often. The base mana regen increased, passive damage increased, Q cooldown now decreased with rank, and E base damage decreased. So they're trying to bolster her mid lane damage while being cautious over buffing Lux support. Because obviously any change that you do to Lux is for both roles. And a lot of people play her in support, obviously, with what they did a long time ago to her W, giving the shield a lot better supportiness. So the base mana regeneration is actually going down. But the passive, her auto attack after hitting an ability, is going up by base. So 10 even. I know that sounds crazy, but a level 1 10 extra is really nice for last hitting. 10 extra damage for last hitting the minions on level 1 minion wave is great. And then they also a 5% AP bonus as well compared to what it used to be. That's a really nice change. Q cooldown 11 seconds at all ranks, 11 and then 10, then 9. So 2 seconds off an ability in one buff is actually a really big buff. So that's nice. And then the E, obviously your major constant like harassment, is actually being nerfed by a little bit of damage. But obviously you get to Q more and you're getting, it's a 5 damage nerf per rank where you're gaining 10 damage here instead with more AP. So they're actually trying to, was also having less mana regeneration. They're actually trying to incentivize to use your passive more, which is the auto attack. Could creep in. There used to be a long time ago a Lichbane Lux build, because if you really are needing to use your passive because it's doing more damage, etc., etc., well then Lichbane's great because you get to proc the passive and then you're always going to auto attack. Well, Lichbane is an auto attack buff, so that could potentially be back. That's interesting. Naafiri, overall nerfs for this champion. I've seen a few games of this champ. I've not played it yet myself. She has basically become like Riot kind of wanted. I remember in the dev meeting they were like, we want to make a basic, easy to understand assassin. It hasn't landed where they wanted it, by the way. She is supposed to be a jungler. No, she is supposed to be a mid laner. Wherever she's supposed to be, she's not being played. I think she's supposed to be a mid. Yeah, she's supposed to be a mid, but people are weirdly playing her top and they're playing her jungle. They're not playing her mid. Some people are, obviously, but yeah, overall. So they're making her a bit squishier, which assassins should be squishy, so less health straight away. The cooldown of her passive is going up in the early game. And Naafiri's pack mates will now take 100% bonus damage from melee attacks, so you can just kill them, because that was a big complaint people were having. It's really annoying to kill them. The Q, Darkened Daggers, is getting mega nerfed. Whoa, that's a big nerf. So the recast minimum damage and then maximum damage, both of them, well, actually the minimum damage is being nerfed more. That makes sense. So the recast minimum damage was still a 70% bonus AD ratio. It's now going to 40, and it's also being nerfed by 5 flat damage. And then the maximum damage is also being nerfed by base damage by 10 per rank, but it's staying at a 70% bonus AD. That's fair. And the recast heal that she gets is also being nerfed. So damage nerf of just doing the minimum damage, and then a heal nerf too. And then the E is also being nerfed of scaling, so bonus AD is going down by 10%, and the flurry is also being nerfed by 10% bonus AD. So yeah, just straight up, she's squishier. Her passive can't happen as much in the early game. Her dogs are easier to kill. Her initial Q does minimum damage, does less damage. She heals less, and then her E does less damage overall. So yep, this champion's been nerfed. Again, it's a new champion. Most new champions release broken. It's right at the end of the day. So yeah. Orianna, health growth increased, W base damage increased. This is quite interesting to me because I actually have seen a couple of Oriannas recently. So a couple little buffs here or there, you could see more of it. She is very fun to play. Like when you hit that command shockwave and you hit 4 people, it is so satisfying. So I get why people play her. Health growth is going up, so that's nice for tankiness. And then the magic damage is no scaling increase, but it's a base damage increase. That's okay, but maybe scaling would have been nicer. Quinn, I would potentially argue Quinn is one of League's most useless champions. I think between her and Skarner, it's a very, very close of like, I'm not talking technically of how weak they are, just as an actual champion, how useless they are. Quinn is definitely one of them. I think there were talks of her having a rework, but I don't know where them talks have gone. But yeah, and it's a weird thing to say. Like, if you want to play an AD carry that's designed for solo lanes, you just play Akshan. Like, why would you play Quinn? But anyway, so earlier, check the Akshan context above. We mentioned that several champions lost a meaningful amount of durability over the last year. Quinn is one such outlier that has moved from skirmisher style builds to building full lethality. Well, that's just mainly because the lethality is broken, but yeah. We like to slow down Quinn's combat pattern and get her back to relying on attack speed. So let's see. So health growth is going up, so she'll be a bit tankier. That's them giving her the health back. The physical damage is going down by base of her Q. Interesting. But the AD ratio is staying the same. And then the E, once again, is going down. So they're basically saying Quinn's doing too much damage, but will make her a bit tankier. It's the same as Akshan. That's really weird, but okay. Fair enough. Samira, they're just saying the final marksman type of champion that has become a bit too squishy. So they're not doing anything with her damage, but they're giving her 30 more health at rank at the beginning of the game. I know if you're newer to the game, you might be like, 30 health is nothing. It's not a lot, but it does make a difference. 30 health, if you have a very close fight right now playing Samira and you just die, well, an extra 30 health is the difference of you then not dying. That's what a 30 health buff does. And that's what you've got to understand. Of every little change that the Riot does, if you died just in a fight with a little bit more health, you would now not die. That's the way you've got to think of it. Or that little extra damage buff that a champion gets, well, suddenly they get the kill instead of dying. That's what you've got to think about. Tryndamere. Oh, right-click McGee. Attack range increase. Attack range increased? Oh, that's weird. But anyway, 125 is going to 175 attack range. 50 attack range buff for Tryndamere. But his attack damage is going down because he's going to be able to auto-attack easier. Wow. That's weird. It's really weird. So they're basically putting him on the same attack range level as Trundle, Master Yi, and Darius, to name a few. Yeah, an extra 50 range is a lot, so we're preemptively nerfing his base attack damage, which should also reduce his ability to gain leads via level 1 and level 2 all-ins. Yeah, I'm happy that they've said this. We'll be keeping a close eye. Yeah, that could go really bad. Like, pure no-skill right-click champs like Tryndamere, giving them extra range, I think, is really questionable. But let's see how that goes. Twisted Fate, Q damage increased. We'd obviously made that Twisted Fate video, by the way, a few days ago, and it showed decent strength to Twisted Fate. A lot of people, I've seen the few, they're actually running Ignite, Electrocute, and they're trying to get kills in lane phase. So any buff is going to make this champion even stronger for those type of players. And the buff is not bad, but basically it's for his Q, which is you do max, so he'll see the benefits of this. It's his wave clear. It's a lot of his wave clear. It's in a team fight. Those 3 cards, they can hit a lot of people in those team fights. So a 10% AP buff isn't bad. I don't think it's a crazy buff for him, but yeah, I think that would be quite interesting to see more Twisted Fates. He's an exciting champion. I wish I could play him more. Again, with the colorblind thing, it's just, should I play him? Should I not play him? It does sometimes feel a bit weird. Vex, I do like this champ, but it did feel like her damage was not enough, dare I say. But Q-based damage increase and W cooldown decrease, so just buffs across the board. So her Q magic damage is going up 10 per rank. No, nothing else, but that's fine. And then the W personal space, you get to use it more often in the early game. 4 seconds buff at rank 1. That's not bad. So, like I was saying before, you know, that extra 30 health that a Samira's getting is the difference of her dying and not. The extra 10 damage at rank 1 or 10 damage at rank 2, whatever, the extra 10 damage is the difference sometimes of you getting a kill and you not getting a kill. And you have to remember, every single time that you hit a Q now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. If you play Vex, how many Qs are you going to land in a whole game of League of Legends? Like, I don't know, let's just say 100. Well, then that 10 extra damage that you're now getting, 100 times 100, 10 times 100, you're just gaining, what, 1,000 extra damage? If you hit 100 Qs in a game, you're just gaining an extra 1,000 damage because of this one change. That's it. again, don't know if you're actually going to hit 100 in one game, but the principle is there, you know? It's just free extra damage. Vi. So Vi has certainly lost her place or balance roller coaster. So yeah, whenever I've seen Vi, she's just become a full lethality, hail of blades, Duskblade, collector type of champion, and that's not what this champion is supposed to be. So her E change should make it less important to max the ability, meaning players can move into maxing W second instead of R. And and the R nerf is aimed to have a more impact in pro play than solo queue. Okay, let's see what they're doing. So the shield strength is 10% of Vi's maximum health. It's now 12% of Vi's maximum health. So the more health you have, the more value the shield is. W, the passive cooldown reduction is going from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. The relentless force is being, so a better cooldown. So instead of 14 seconds at the beginning, it's 12. Same 8 seconds at rank 5. And then the R, that's a big nerf. So that's kind of, I guess, what they're doing. They're trying to shift her away from being that all-in lethality champ. So at rank 3, 500 base damage is 400, so 100 damage nerf on the level 16 ulti. But the bigger one, because obviously a lot of games don't even hit level 16. You might hit, level 14 by the time the game's over. So that's still a decent nerf. But it's a 20% damage nerf of your bonus AD. That's quite a big nerf. So that incentivizes you to not actually build as much AD because you're not getting much out of it. You're not getting as much out of it. So you might start to see with, more maximum health, you're tanky. You're probably going to see more actual Bruiser Vi again. Maybe Blade the Ruined King, Black Cleaver, but like more tanky Bruiser than lethality all in. And I think that's what Riot's trying to do with those Bruisers, as I mentioned. Xerath base mana regeneration decreased, passive cooldown refunded on unit kill increase, and W mana cost increase. So yeah, the little change that they did to Xerath, or a few changes, it kind of really brung him back proper. So Xerath support is currently performing very well in solo queue, poking the competition down until they have reluctantly recalled. So yeah, they are making his mana regeneration not as good. The cooldown refunded on unit kill, they're making it better technically. So 2 seconds, you got every single unit kill, you got 2 seconds off the passive, which gave you mana back, but it's now going up to 2.5 seconds each unit kill. So that's because of this, I guess. So it's a nerf to support Xerath because you're not going to be getting unit kills to then proc your passive to get mana back as much, but mid lane Xerath will be getting unit kills, therefore can proc the passive more. And then the mana cost of the W, one of the big tools, especially support Xerath, because it slows, it can hit multiple, obviously, is being made more expensive. So yeah, these are very big nerfs to Xerath support. Still nerfs, obviously, to mid lane, but that mid lane just won't feel it as much because they get to proc their passive more often. Xin Zhao, passive heal adjusted. So heal on third attack was a flat 6 to 74 based on your level, then 10% of your AD and 65% AP. It's now going to 3.54% of your maximum health, with then including a 65% ability power ratio, and that these change at level 1, 6, 11. It's basically modernizing Xin Zhao in essence, so there you go. Zoe, base health regeneration increase, magic resistance reduction increase. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to any Zoes. People forget how annoying this champion is to play against. Stupidly annoying to play against, but yeah. So base health regeneration is going up, so that helps a lane better. And then the magic resistance reduction. So if you hit somebody with your E, so many people don't even know, she shreds magic resist. So that's where she does so much damage. She E's, runs away, whole screen, comes back with a massive Q, and your magic resist is less. So it was 20%, got up to 30%. It's now 30% straight away. So expect Zoe to be more annoying in lane phase. So we'll see how that goes. And that's all the champions. Moving on to items. Bloodthirster. Engorge health regeneration, a requirement for bonus AD. Anything above 70% instead of 50%. So Bloodthirster is slightly overperforming as a greedy purchase for winning players. It's proven to be a pretty solid shape for an item, and we're happy that players can't... and We're happy that players can't easily stack 2 shields in the same build, but it needs a small tuning pass. So there we go. Duskblade Drakthar, this item. So removed is the Night Stalker passive can be changed functionality to match untargetable effects. So that's gone. And slippery but not invincible no longer makes the owner immune to damage while untargetable. Those are gone. And now we've got, but still slippery, now destroys incoming non-tower projectiles when triggered. So from what I'm reading here, players will not be no longer invincible or immune, I guess, or are they? Let's see. Our goals for Duskblade this patch are to make the passive the same as the other untargetable effects, so minus the tower blocking, which should help make Duskblade untargetability interactions a bit more intuitive for players. We're also removing the damage immunity from the passive, as we believe that if you have a kill confirmed with something like Ignite, you should still get the kill, and it should not be denied by Duskblade. So yeah, they're trying to make it healthier. This item is all like, it's just a problemed item. I literally, and it's something that you can laugh about. I remember when Riot was like, we're going to fix Duskblade, we're going to change it, because remember back in the day it just made a champion, what was it made them just stealthed for like a second or two, and they're like, yeah, that's unhealthy. What we're going to do is make it more obnoxious by making that champion invulnerable, so you can still see them but you can't do anything to them. That was more frustrating, because then you could actually see them but you can't do anything to them. So I guess they are toning it back, but in essence, we've all heard the change. My dev video about it will come out tomorrow. It was going to come out tonight of the upcoming items and rank changes. Mythic items are going away, and Riot have already confirmed some mythics are staying, and their functionality will stay similar to what they are now, but just toned down. And some mythics are going. I hope that Duskblade is going and never comes back. Ugh. Even Shroud, the damage amplification is going down. So again, this is good to see. Remember, a lot of the complaint that people are having, including myself in the game right now, is the damage is back being ridiculously high. All of this stuff is contributing factors. The fact that a support has an item that makes everybody else's damage on their team do 10% more damage, that's a contributing factor to why the damage is so high. So they're toning that down. Still, again, it's bonus damage from a support item, but instead of 10%, it's 7%. So at least it's toning down the damage. That's just is everywhere right now. Gore Drinker. They're changing the item recipe, but they're giving it more health. So they're, we've seen already a lot of the changes they've made to some of the fighters. They're actually gaining more things from having health. So this is probably why they're buffing health for Gore Drinker. Shield Bow. The lifeline shield is being buffed in the early game. Okay. Spirit Shojin, so the combined cost is going up, but it's gaining less attack damage, but it's gaining that mega health. And obviously, as we just mentioned, some of these champions are gaining stuff more from health now, so there you go. And then the Dragon Force, why is a really big buff. So it was 8 plus 8% bonus AD haste for melee champions, and then 6 plus 6% bonus AD haste for range champions. It's going up to 16% flat haste for melee champions with 4% of your bonus AD as well. And then it's 12% plus 3% for your bonus AD for range champions. So this is a buff before you hit 200 bonus AD. Which again, in essence, like for Hecarim, I still think he's going to be broken. He now gets to build tankier than he did before. So he shouldn't build Duskblade or Drakthar, but he's going to build Spear. He's maybe Gore Drinker, for example. He doesn't have to hit that 200 AD, which he roughly did before, but he's going to still reap all the benefit of Spear and stuff like that. Ugh. Again, Riot just really must like certain champions. Static Shiv, once again being nerfed, still too strong. So the Wave Clear... oh no, it's not the Wave Clear. Bonus damage against champions is going down. They're halving the AP ratio of it. So there you go. Stride Breaker is getting more health, again, thus adding to the fighter thing that we've spoken about. Runes Futures Market, the debt limit was 145 gold plus 5 per minute. It now starts at 100. Ooh, 100 instead of 145, but then 8 extra per minute. And then this is a buff starting at 18 minutes. So 18 minutes, this is then going to be a buff from then on. But in the early game, it's not going to be as good. And again, I will say I've run Futures Market on a couple champions, especially Assassins. This item is very good with. It's any champion that really needs those item kind of steps in the early game to get that snowballing going. Futures Market is incredible. The extra, by the time 5 minutes is in the game, you're closing into having 200 in your debt limit, roughly, nearly. And that's the difference of affording an extra, for a Rengar that could get you to the Serrated Dirk in the early game. That just little extra where instead of leaving the base just with 2 long swords, you've then got a Serrated Dirk, and then you can kill people, or you can get a Sheen or something like that. It does make a big difference. System changes, catch-up experience. So catch-up experience in the jungle has mostly been working as intended, but there have been a few unusual cases that have cropped up where it doesn't feel like the enemy is truly behind enough to be getting catch-up experience. This is usually due to the way the average level calculations was rounding. So in some cases, a player was barely over 2 levels down from the average, which ended up rounding to 3 levels below and thus triggering catch-up experience. We're shifting the way it rounds to not always round up and thus resolve a lot of these rare cases so it doesn't feel like the enemy jungler is unfairly crawling their way back into the game. I would say the biggest, it kind of goes back to what we said earlier, the biggest kind of person of this is Kayn. Kayn, his weakest part obviously is before he gets a form. So sometimes he does get a level or 2, or if it's against like an early game snowballer like a Hecarim, he sometimes can get 3 levels ahead. But then with the catch-up experience, poof, he was right back there, and it's basically like he had no bad time at all. So hopefully this makes a good change. Dragon Patience. So in Patience Dragons, added a Patience bar and leashing range indicator to all dragons. So there you go. So obviously, when you're doing a dragon, you don't always want to do it in your pit. You want to pull it out to the river. But sometimes people pull it too far and it gets reset. So this will help towards that. ARM adjustments. The Essence Emporium is coming September 6th. New champion illustration icons. In this patch, we'll be releasing champion illustrations for 164 champions. These will be available for direct purchase in the shop for 250 RP each. So if you main a champion or like a champion, pretty much every single champion is going to have a individual summoner icon for it, which I actually think is kind of cool. So there's that. I might buy a couple of them. Bug fixes, always look through, obviously, if you can see a champion that you play. And then the upcoming skins. But there we go. That is the patch. Quite a big one. It's nice to see, and I will say, it's nice to see some damage nerfs. We genuinely have seen some damage nerfs in this patch, and that is good. I think Riot, even though reluctantly, I think they have had to suck it up and agree we're slowly getting back to very high damage, and we need to do something about it. Again, they did release the dev blog, obviously, a few days ago. That was like, basically 50% of the durability patch is gone. Yeah, that sounds about right. And after the durability patch, it honestly felt great. The game felt awesome, and it's slowly been creeping, well, not even slowly. The game has been creeping back to what it was before, and how many people hated that. I hated that. A lot of you hated that. A lot of people quit the game because of how silly the damage was. We do not want that again. But anyway, that's going to be it. I'll get this edited, get this uploaded. If you guys enjoyed the effort and enjoyed the video, please do throw a like on it. Let me know what you think about the patch down below. And subscribe if you've made it this far. If you made it this far, by the way, say something in your comment that has to do with a lemon, and I'll know you made it to the end. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power.